The starship Endeavour glided silently through the black expanse of space. Its hull reflected distant stars like tiny points of light scattered across a dark canvas. Inside, the crew of humans moved with calm precision, each one trained to respond quickly to any challenge. This was not the first time humanity had ventured far from Earth, but the edges of explored space still held mysteries that excited even the most experienced explorers. Captain Lyra Hanley stood at the bridge, her eyes scanning the main view screen. The colony they had been monitoring, Ardent 9, orbited a quiet yellow star far from the core of human civilization. Sensors had detected a strange signal in the nearby system, one that did not match any known pattern. Lyra leaned forward, curiosity mixed with caution. "Bring it up on the main display," she ordered. A holographic image flickered to life. It showed a fleet of ships unlike anything the humans had seen before. They were sleek, organic in design, glowing faintly with a pale blue light. From their formation, it was clear they were organized, but there was something unusual about their movement, hesitant, almost pleading. "Captain," said Lieutenant Wren, her communications officer, "they're transmitting a message. It's in an unknown language, but I can attempt a translation." "Do it," Lyra replied. Humans had learned many alien languages through decades of contact, but this one was different. The translator whirred, then a voice came through, trembling and urgent. "Humans, please, we need your help. Our world, under attack. We are losing everything." The crew exchanged glances. Humans had faced danger before, but hearing a species so desperate, so vulnerable, struck a chord. Lyra straightened in her chair. "Set a course to their location. We'll see what they need." The journey to the Elythian system was swift. As the Endeavour approached, the alien fleet came into clearer view. The Elythians, humans learned to call them that from the translation system, were unlike any species humans had met. Their ships seemed almost alive, flowing shapes and soft luminescence giving them an ethereal appearance. But their distress was real and humans could sense it. As the Endeavour dropped out of hyperspace, the Elythians sent a delegation aboard the human ship. Lyra met them personally in the ship's main hall. The Elythians were tall, their bodies slender and graceful, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. They bowed deeply, a gesture of humility and desperation. "Thank you for coming," said one, its voice melodic but strained. "Our empire, the Calith Dominion, they conquer without mercy. We have fought, but our defenses fail. Please, we need your help." Humans had heard stories of ruthless empires before, but the confidence in human culture came from a deep understanding. Humans did not retreat. They did not give up. Lyra regarded the Elythians calmly. "We'll help," she said. "But understand this, we do things differently. We don't just fight. We win." The Elythians looked puzzled. "Win?" the delegate asked. "We have heard of human victories, but we did not think it possible. Surely, and every empire is stronger than a single species." Lyra smiled faintly. "Not stronger than humans. We face challenges head-on. We adapt, we learn, and we fight smarter. That is how we win." The Elythians exchanged glances. Their culture was built on caution and diplomacy, on avoiding direct confrontation when possible. Humans were different, bold, fearless. It was both terrifying and inspiring. The next hours were spent in discussion. The Elythians explained their situation. The Calith Dominion had conquered dozens of planets, enslaved populations, and destroyed anyone who resisted. The Elythians' fleet was powerful in its own right, but it lacked the human traits that made humans so effective in war. They relied heavily on careful planning and technology, but fear often froze their decisions. Humans did not freeze. Lyra listened carefully, then outlined a plan. "We don't need to match their strength. We need to exploit their weaknesses. I'll lead a small strike team to scout their defenses. We'll identify gaps and create opportunities, then we hit fast and hard. The goal is to inspire hope for your people and to break their momentum." The Elythians were hesitant. "Your approach, it is dangerous," the delegate said. "Many will die. Some might," Lyra admitted. "But some will live, and their survival will change everything. Humans don't fight for small victories. We fight to change the game entirely." Over the next few days, humans and Elythians worked together, preparing for reconnaissance missions. Humans trained Elythian crews in techniques they had never seen: rapid coordination under stress, improvising when plans fail, using the environment creatively. The Elythians struggled at first, but they began to understand why humans were feared and admired across the stars. Humans could adapt to any situation, and they did it with calm confidence. One night, as Lyra reviewed mission plans in her quarters, Lieutenant Rin approached. "Captain, I think they're starting to see it," she said quietly. "The Elythians. They are inspired. They believe humans can't be defeated." Lyra nodded. "It's not about us. It's about showing them what's possible. Humans don't just fight. We teach others to fight with courage. That's our advantage." When the time came for the first reconnaissance mission, humans and Elythians moved together in stealth. The Calith Dominion's patrols were numerous and well-trained, but humans used tactics the aliens had never considered. They split into small units, moved silently, and struck only where it would cause maximum disruption. Every success boosted Elythian morale. Every failure was met with calm adjustments, something the Elythians had never experienced. They were used to panic and hesitation. After several hours, the mission was complete. Humans returned with vital information, enemy positions, weak points and defenses, and the morale of Calith soldiers. The Elythians were astonished. "How did you do this?" one asked. "We would have failed completely," Lyra smiled. "We observe, we plan, and we act without fear. Humans don't let obstacles stop us. That's why we win." As the sun rose over the Elythian homeworld, the humans prepared for the next phase of their mission. The Elythians watched them with a mixture of awe and hope. For the first time, they believed that their world might survive, not because of superior numbers or technology, but because humans had shown them the meaning of courage, ingenuity, and unstoppable determination. That evening, Captain Lyra stood on the observation deck looking at the stars. The human crew moved around her, ready for whatever came next. She felt the familiar thrill of challenge, the kind that drove humans to explore, fight, and survive across the galaxy. This was only the beginning. Somewhere far away, the Calith Dominion was unaware of the force approaching. Humans did not just fight for victory, they redefined what victory meant. And when humans fought, the galaxy took notice. The Elythians had come seeking help. What they received was a revelation. Humans did not just know how to win, they embodied it. And now, for the first time, the Elythians would see the true power of human resolve. The Elythian homeworld was a world of serene beauty. Oceans shimmered under pale sunlight, forests stretched in endless green, and cities seemed to rise naturally from the land, blending with nature rather than overwhelming it. But beneath the surface of this calm world, fear had taken root. The Calith Dominion's shadow had grown for centuries, and the Elythians' once proud fleets had been reduced to defensive patrols and scattered outposts. Captain Lyra Hanley and her crew of humans moved through Elythian command centers with quiet confidence. Their presence was commanding but not aggressive, inspiring curiosity and respect from the alien officers. Humans were unlike any other species the Elythians had met. They did not shrink from danger. They did not hesitate under pressure, and every action seemed purposeful and precise. Lieutenant Rin, hovering over a holographic map of the Calith Dominion's forces, tapped on a series of points. "These are their main patrol routes and defensive installations," she said. "We need to identify weak points. If we strike there, we can disrupt supply lines without risking too many lives." The Elythians looked doubtful. "Their forces are vast," one said. "They control entire systems. Any direct attack is certain defeat." Lyra shook her head. "Defeat is what they expect. We'll show them something different. Humans don't fight like others. We don't follow predictable rules. We improvise, we adapt, and we exploit every weakness." The Elythians watched in amazement as humans began their work. Small teams went on reconnaissance missions to study patrols, weapon placements, and supply routes. Human scouts moved quickly and silently, sometimes using Elythian ships, sometimes using their own compact craft designed for speed and stealth. They observed, recorded, and returned with information that seemed almost impossible to gather. "What is this?" an Elythian officer asked, pointing to a diagram of a patrol formation. "No species has ever recognized this pattern so quickly." "It's simple," Lyra said. "Humans don't just watch, we understand. We notice details others ignore. We predict reactions before they happen. That's why we win." The Elythians tried to imitate human methods, but their fear often slowed them. They hesitated at minor risks, questioned decisions endlessly, and sometimes froze under pressure. Humans, however, thrived in these situations. They moved decisively, trusted one another, and adapted instantly when plans changed. The contrast was striking. One day, while humans and Alethians were analyzing a heavily fortified Calith outpost, Lyra gathered a small team for a field test. "We'll run a simulation," she said. "I want you to try and infiltrate their defenses as we've planned." No hesitation. No second guessing. The Alethians exchanged worried glances. Simulation or not? Failure would be catastrophic, one said. "Then pay attention," Lyra replied. "Humans don't fail when we're prepared. And even if something goes wrong, we find a way to win." The team moved in silence, using every technique humans had taught them: coordinated maneuvers, improvised cover, and silent communication. Alethians were amazed as humans bypassed advanced security systems with creative solutions, neutralized sentries without alerting others, and mapped the area with precision. When they returned, the Alethians were stunned. "You moved through them like ghosts," one whispered. "We would have been destroyed instantly," Lyra smiled. "Not ghosts, humans. We adapt, we learn, and we act without fear. That's how we overcome even the strongest defenses." The success of the exercise had a profound effect. Alethians who had long believed they were powerless against the Calith Dominion began to see a new path. Humans showed them that strength was not just numbers or technology. It was courage, intelligence, and the ability to act decisively when it mattered most. Over the next several days, humans worked tirelessly with Alethian crews. They trained them in techniques humans had mastered over centuries: rapid coordination, teams acting in perfect sync without explicit orders. Environmental advantage, using terrain, gravity, and weather creatively. Psychological tactics, creating confusion and hesitation in the enemy through unexpected moves. Resilience under pressure, maintaining calm when the odds seemed impossible. The Alethians were slow at first, often falling back on old habits. But under humans' guidance, they began to change. They saw that hesitation led to failure, while bold, smart action could produce extraordinary results. Each lesson was reinforced with practical exercises, and each success built confidence. One afternoon, Lyra stood on a cliff overlooking the Alethian capital city, watching a training exercise in the open fields below. Human and Alethian squads moved through a simulated battlefield, dodging obstacles and neutralizing targets with efficiency. Humans were fluid, confident, and fearless. Alethians were still learning, but their movements grew more assured with each pass. "Captain," Lieutenant Rin said, "look at them. They're improving faster than I expected. Humans have a way of making others believe in themselves." "That's the point," Lyra replied. "We don't just fight, we inspire. And inspiration is more powerful than any weapon." As humans continued their work, the Alethians shared more details about the Calith Dominion. The Empire's fleets were vast, their soldiers disciplined, and their technology advanced. Yet every advantage the Calith held could be countered with the right strategy. Humans were quick to identify weaknesses: predictable patrol routes, over-reliance on automated systems, and a culture that feared unpredictability. "Humans excel where others fail," an Alethian officer admitted. "Your way is not just effective, it is extraordinary," Lyra nodded. "It's not extraordinary, it's human. We face challenges and don't stop. We don't retreat. That's why we win." Night fell over the Alethian world, and humans used the darkness to continue reconnaissance missions. They moved like shadows across the landscape, gathering intelligence from the Calith forces. Alethians watched with a mixture of awe and hope. They had lived in fear for so long, they had forgotten what it felt like to believe in victory. Humans reminded them. During one mission, a small human team infiltrated a Calith supply depot. They moved silently, bypassing guards and security systems, and returned with detailed maps of supply lines and defensive weak points. The Alethians examined the data, their eyes wide with astonishment. "Humans, you risked your lives for us," one said. "We would have never dared such a thing." Lyra's face was calm, almost casual. "Risk is part of every battle. Humans don't run from it. We face it, we learn from it, and we turn it into an advantage. That's why we succeed." By the end of the week, the Alethians had begun to trust the humans completely. They started adopting human tactics in their own operations, practicing improvisation, quick decision-making, and fearless execution. The humans' presence had changed them fundamentally. Where fear once ruled, hope now thrived. Where hesitation once caused failure, decisive action now offered the promise of victory. Lyra watched this transformation with quiet satisfaction. She knew the real battle was not just against the Calith Dominion, it was also against fear itself. The Ilithians had been oppressed for generations, and their own minds had become chains. Humans had a unique ability: to break chains without striking a blow, to teach courage by example, to show that the impossible could be made possible. Tomorrow, Lyra said to her team, we take the next step. We move from observation to action. The Calith Dominion will learn that humans do not fight like others, and the Ilithians will learn that victory is within their grasp, if they are willing to fight for it. As the crew prepared for the coming days, a sense of purpose filled the Ilithian capital. Humans had not just come as allies, they had come as a force that could change the course of history. And for the first time in many long years, the Ilithians dared to dream of freedom, courage, and victory. The stars beyond the Ilithian system stretched endlessly. Filled with danger, challenge, and opportunity, humans looked at them not with fear but with excitement. Every mission, every obstacle, every confrontation was another chance to prove their way of life. Bold, inventive, and unstoppable. The Calith Dominion's shadow loomed large, but humans had already begun to illuminate the path to victory, and in that light, the Ilithians glimpsed a future they had never thought possible. A future in which they could fight back, survive, and perhaps even thrive, guided by humans who only knew one way to face the universe, with courage, ingenuity, and victory. The Calith Dominion's forces were vast, stretching across multiple star systems with fleets that had crushed entire civilizations. Yet from the moment humans arrived, the balance of power had begun to shift, not through overwhelming firepower alone but through boldness, ingenuity, and the unshakable confidence that humans carried into every battle. Captain Lyra Hanley stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, watching the holomap of the Calith outpost. "This is it," she said. "The first strike. Remember, this is about precision, speed, and adaptation. We do not wait for them to make mistakes. We create opportunities." Lieutenant Rin nodded. "All units are in position. The Lithian crews are ready. Humans are ready. We just need to move carefully but quickly." Lyra's gaze swept over the assembled Ilithians. Their expressions were tense but determined. She had spent days training them, instilling human tactics and philosophy into every lesson. They had learned to act decisively, to trust instinct and intelligence, and to believe that victory was possible. "You may feel fear," Lyra said, her voice calm and firm. "That is normal. But fear does not control you. We act, we adapt, and we win. Humans do not surrender. Lithians, follow our lead and believe in yourselves. Today we take the first step toward freeing your people." The fleet moved quietly through the dark expanse. Human ships, smaller and faster than the Ilithian vessels, darted between asteroid fields and nebulae, avoiding detection. Ilithian ships, following human guidance, learned to use unconventional routes, taking advantage of cover and gravitational anomalies that the Calith never expected. As they approached the first outpost, sensors detected enemy patrols, advanced automated drones heavily armed but predictable. Humans had studied them closely. "We'll split into 3 units, Lyra instructed. Unit 1 creates a distraction. Unit 2 neutralizes defenses. Unit 3 infiltrates and gathers intelligence. Timing and coordination are everything." The Ilithians hesitated at first, nervous about the bold plan. But humans moved with natural confidence, and their calm energy spread. The Ilithians adjusted their movements, synchronizing with humans in a way that seemed almost impossible only days before. "Move out," Lyra commanded. The first unit surged forward, using light pulses and holographic decoys to confuse Calith drones. Machines fired wildly at illusions, leaving gaps that the second unit exploited. Human pilots executed daring maneuvers, weaving between laser fire and gravity wells with flawless precision. Ilithians watched in awe as humans turned every obstacle into an advantage. In the control center of the outpost, alarms blared. Calith officers struggled to understand the unexpected tactics. They are not following normal battle patterns," one officer exclaimed. "How are they so fast, so unpredictable?" Meanwhile, Unit 3, the infiltration team, slipped through the chaos. Humans moved like shadows, Ilithians following closely behind. They bypassed security doors, avoided surveillance drones, and reached the command hub. Every move was calculated yet adaptable. If a door was locked or a sensor triggered, humans found another way. Elythians saw the fluidity of human thinking, a stark contrast to their own hesitation. At the heart of the outpost, human soldiers accessed Kalith databases. They copied maps, supply lines, and patrol schedules. One Elythian, still shaking slightly, asked, "How do you do this without being detected?" Lyra smiled. "We don't just act. We anticipate. We adapt to what happens, not what we fear might happen. Humans don't wait for permission. We make things happen." The Kalith Dominion responded with reinforcements, sending a patrol fleet to intercept the strike teams. Humans did not panic. They split units, weaving through asteroid belts and using gravitational fields to their advantage. One small human ship feinted a direct approach, drawing enemy fire, while another attacked from an unexpected angle, disabling critical systems. The Elythians began to understand the value of deception, timing, and bold action. On the bridge of the Endeavor, Lyra gave a single order: keep pushing, adapt, never stop. The Kalith were confused and disoriented. They had never faced opponents who moved with such confidence, who seemed to know exactly what to do in every situation. Every human maneuver forced the Dominion to react, and every reaction created new weaknesses. By the time the first strike ended, the humans had achieved their objectives. Critical data was secured, supply lines disrupted, and the Kalith defenses weakened. Back on the Elythian homeworld, news of the human-led strike spread quickly. Elythian soldiers and citizens alike felt a spark of hope they hadn't felt in generations. Humans had done what no other ally could, turned the impossible into reality, showing that victory was possible even against overwhelming odds. During the debriefing, Lyra gathered both humans and Elythians. "This was only the first strike," she said, "but it proves something important. Victory is not about who has more ships or stronger weapons. It's about courage, strategy, and the ability to act when others hesitate. Humans do not know defeat because we refuse to accept it. Elythians, you saw it today. You learned it. Believe in yourselves." One young Elythian officer, still catching her breath, said, "Captain, your people, you are extraordinary. I have never seen such precision, such fearlessness. How do you do it?" Lyra looked at her calmly. "We are human. We face danger and we adapt. That is our way. And now you are learning it too. That is the power of courage and intelligence combined." Over the next few days, humans and Elythians analyzed the results of the first strike. Every action, every outcome was studied carefully. Humans encouraged Elythians to think critically, to anticipate enemy reactions, and to innovate rather than follow strict rules. Elythians began to understand that victory was not just a matter of numbers or technology. It was mindset, ingenuity, and the willingness to act decisively. The Kalith Dominion, meanwhile, was shaken. Their officers debated the strange tactics of the humans. "They are unpredictable, adaptive, almost impossible to defeat," one said. "No species has ever fought like this." Back on the human ship, Lyra studied the reports. She knew the first strike was only the beginning. "We've shown them what's possible," she told her crew. "Now we prepare for the next phase. The Kalith will retaliate, and we must be ready. Humans don't just fight, they inspire, and this inspiration is contagious." That night, as stars stretched across the Elythian sky, humans prepared their next move. Elythians trained alongside them, growing in skill and confidence. They had seen firsthand what humans could do, and the lessons went beyond tactics. They had learned how to think, how to adapt, and how to believe that no challenge was impossible. Captain Lyra stood on the observation deck, looking at the distant lights of Kalith patrols. "Tomorrow we strike again," she said softly. "But not just to fight. We strike to show that humans do not accept defeat. And the Elythians, they will learn that they do not have to either. The universe was full of danger, but humans thrived in danger. That was what made them different, what made them unstoppable. And now, for the first time, the Elythians were beginning to understand that difference. The first strike was a success, but it was also a lesson in courage, ingenuity, and the human way. The Kalith Dominion had met humans, and they had discovered something terrifying. Humans only knew one way to fight, and that way was victory. The Kalith Dominion had suffered an unexpected defeat. Their supply lines were disrupted, their patrols confused, and their officers unsettled. They had never faced an enemy who moved so unpredictably, so boldly, so efficiently. The humans had arrived like a storm, reshaping the battlefield with strategies that no other species had ever attempted. But the Dominion was not easily defeated. They were relentless, determined to crush both the humans and the Elythians. Intelligence reports showed that a massive fleet was moving toward the Elythian homeworld, planning to destroy the cities and reclaim control of the system. Captain Lyra Hanley stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, her gaze steady on the holomap of incoming forces. "They are coming," she said calmly. "And they think this will intimidate us. It won't. Humans don't yield to fear. We adapt, we fight, and we win." Lieutenant Rin, monitoring communications, nodded. "All units are reporting in. Elythians are prepared, but they are nervous. This is their homeworld under threat. That's why we are here," Lyra replied. "Fear is natural, but courage is a choice. We choose courage." The humans worked quickly to coordinate defenses across the planet. Elythians deployed their fleets along the outer orbits, placing energy shields and automated defenses. Humans advised on positioning, creating layers of defense that could respond dynamically rather than rigidly. Every strategy was designed to leverage the humans' unique approach: speed, unpredictability, and adaptation. When the Dominion fleet entered the system, it was massive, hundreds of ships bristling with weapons. They expected an easy conquest, confident in their overwhelming strength. But humans had prepared traps, ambush points, and diversion strategies. Every move the Dominion made was anticipated. Every advantage they believed they held was challenged. "Focus on their patterns," Lyra instructed. "They will assume predictability is our weakness. Make them regret that assumption." The first wave of attacks began. Dominion ships targeted Elythian defense platforms, firing powerful energy beams. Human pilots, smaller and faster than the Elythian ships, darted between the incoming fire. They struck weak points, disabled weapons, and drew enemy attention away from vulnerable locations. Elythian crews, guided by human expertise, adjusted their tactics on the fly, moving in ways they had never attempted before. On the ground, human-led units coordinated planetary defenses. Missile batteries, shield generators, and energy barriers were deployed in patterns designed to channel Dominion forces into traps. Humans communicated with Elythian commanders, giving clear and decisive instructions that eliminated hesitation. The Dominion fleet was confused. How are they moving so fast?" one officer barked. "They adapt to every attack. Every move we make is countered." Lyra watched calmly as humans continued their defense. She knew that the key to victory was not just firepower, it was resilience. The humans' ability to remain composed, analyze rapidly changing situations, and exploit opportunities gave them an edge that the Dominion could not anticipate. As the battle intensified, a group of Dominion ships broke through the outer defenses, heading directly toward Elythian cities. Panic began to rise among Elythian citizens, but humans acted quickly. Small human strike teams deployed across the surface, using stealth ships and teleportation technology to intercept attackers. They neutralized critical targets, rerouted energy flows, and protected civilian populations. Elythians watched in awe. Their fear had not vanished, but it had been replaced with determination. Humans had taught them that courage was more than fighting. It was taking decisive action even when danger seemed overwhelming. In one critical engagement, a massive Dominion dreadnought advanced toward the planetary core, its weapons capable of destroying entire regions. Lyra directed a coordinated strike, combining human ingenuity with Elythian technology. Humans piloted fast attack ships through narrow canyons, creating diversions and luring the dreadnought into a trap. Energy nets and magnetic fields immobilized the massive ship temporarily, allowing Elythians to disable its weapons. When the dust settled, the Dominion dreadnought was neutralized. The Elythians erupted in cheers, a sound humans had rarely heard from any ally. They had not only survived, they had triumphed thanks to human guidance. Yet Lyra knew this was only the beginning. The Dominion would continue to fight, and every victory would be hard-won. She gathered her crew and the Elythian commanders for a briefing. "This battle proves something important," she said. "The Calith Dominion relies on fear and control. We rely on courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Humans don't retreat. Humans don't surrender. And now the Elythians are learning the same lesson. Today we show that victory is possible, no matter how strong the enemy seems." Ilithians nodded, their confidence growing. They had learned that numbers and technology alone did not guarantee success. It was determination, adaptability, and the willingness to face fear that truly made the difference. Humans had shown them that victory was a mindset, and that mindset was now theirs as well. Over the next several days, the battle continued, but the Dominion's attacks became less coordinated. Every human-led strike forced them to adjust. Every clever maneuver created hesitation and doubt. The humans' presence inspired not only the Ilithian forces but also their people. Civilians contributed to the defense, building fortifications, supplying resources, and maintaining communications. Hope spread like wildfire. One night after another successful engagement, Lyra stood on the observation deck overlooking the Ilithian capital. Fires of battle still burned in the distance, but the city had held. Humans and Ilithians alike had learned the power of cooperation and courage. Lieutenant Rin joined her. "Captain, they are really starting to believe in themselves. The Ilithians, they are no longer just following. They are thinking, acting, leading. Humans have changed them." "That's the point," Lyra replied. "We don't just fight battles. We change the course of entire civilizations. Courage is contagious, and now it has spread. The Dominion underestimates that at their own risk." The final phase of the battle approached. The Dominion, desperate to regain control, concentrated its forces for a massive assault on the planetary surface. Humans anticipated this move. They divided their forces, creating multiple points of defense while setting up ambushes in unexpected locations. Ilithian units, now confident in their skills, acted with precision and bravery. The Dominion attacked with everything they had. Ships dove into planetary atmosphere, bombarding cities and installations. Ground forces moved to overwhelm defensive positions. But humans were always one step ahead, adapting to the enemy's moves, improvising, and striking with decisive timing. In the climax of the battle, Lyra led a human Ilithian strike team against the Dominion command ship in orbit. They navigated asteroid fields, dodged enemy fire, and used gravity wells to mask their approach. In a coordinated attack, they breached the ship's defenses, disrupted its command systems, and forced a retreat. The Dominion fleet, seeing their command ship disabled, faltered. Their cohesion crumbled and their morale collapsed. The humans and Ilithians had turned the tide completely. What seemed like an impossible battle ended in victory, not because of sheer numbers or firepower, but because of courage, strategy, and human ingenuity. As the survivors of the Dominion fleet fled, Ilithians cheered. They had witnessed something they never thought possible: a disciplined, intelligent, and fearless force that could defy overwhelming odds. Humans had not only protected them, they had inspired them, teaching them to fight with confidence, creativity, and courage. In the aftermath, Ilithian leaders approached Lyra. "Captain, your people. You have changed everything," one said. "We now understand. Victory is not just luck or strength. It is mindset. Humans, you have shown us the way." Lyra smiled, her gaze steady. "It is not just us. It is all of you. You learned, adapted, and acted. Humans only provide the spark, the example. You carried it forward. That is why you won." The Ilithians celebrated their survival, their freedom, and their new understanding of courage and strategy. Humanity had shown them that even against a powerful empire, victory was possible. Not because humans were invincible, but because they never stopped, never wavered, and never gave up. As stars twinkled above the Ilithian world, Lyra looked out into space. The Calith Dominion might still exist, but its shadow over this system had been broken. Humans had proven once again that their way of thinking, acting, and inspiring was unmatched. Ilithians had learned the lesson well. When humans fight alongside you, hope becomes reality, and victory is inevitable. The turning point had come. The Calith Dominion would never forget the humans who refused to be defeated, and the Ilithians would never forget what it meant to fight with courage, intelligence, and determination, the human way. The Ilithian system was quiet now, but the calm was only temporary. The Calith Dominion would not accept defeat easily. Their fleet, though battered, was retreating to regroup and prepare for a massive counterattack. Intelligence suggested that the Dominion's command hub, located in a distant star system, was coordinating reinforcements. This hub had never been attacked successfully. It was heavily defended, surrounded by layers of fleets and energy shields. Many species had tried and failed. Captain Lyra Hanley studied the holomap aboard the Endeavour. "This is the final confrontation," she said. Her tone was calm, but her eyes shone with determination. "The Kalith Dominion believes it is untouchable. But they underestimate one thing: humans." Lieutenant Ryn nodded. "We've gathered all intelligence, trained the Ilithians, and tested our tactics. The time is now. We can strike directly at their command hub." Lyra's gaze swept over the assembled Ilithians. Their expressions were a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Humans had taught them courage, strategy, and adaptability, but now they would face the Dominion in the most decisive battle of all. "You have learned quickly," Lyra said. "Do not forget what you learned. Plan, adapt, and act without hesitation. Fear is natural, but courage is choice. Today, we choose courage." The fleet moved in formation, humans at the forefront, Ilithian ships following, all coordinated like a single organism. The journey to the Dominion's hub took days, and during that time, humans shared every piece of advice, every tactic, every insight they had developed over centuries of facing impossible odds. Ilithians absorbed the lessons, gaining confidence with each simulation and maneuver. As they approached the hub, the Dominion's defenses came into view. A wall of massive warships, orbiting drones and powerful energy shields. The Ilithians tensed, but humans remained composed. Lyra gave the command, "Execute the plan. Remember, precision, speed, and adaptability. We create opportunities. We do not wait for them." The first wave of human ships darted forward, smaller and faster than the Dominion vessels. They weaved between incoming fire, striking weak points with pinpoint accuracy. Ilithian ships, inspired by the humans, coordinated attacks on critical targets. Following the innovative strategies they had learned, the Dominion fleet reacted, sending reinforcements and attempting to encircle the attackers. Humans adapted instantly. Ships split into smaller units, creating decoys, flanking the enemy, and exploiting gaps in the defenses. Every move forced the Dominion to adjust, creating new vulnerabilities. On the planetary surface of the hub system, Dominion ground forces prepared for potential invasions. Humans anticipated this. Strike teams, including Ilithians, were deployed to disable defensive systems, sabotage supply lines, and secure critical areas. Humans led every operation, improvising as the situation changed, turning obstacles into opportunities. During one crucial moment, a massive Dominion battleship attempted to charge directly at the human fleet. Lyra's voice cut through the comms. "Fight left, then split and strike the rear." Human ships darted as ordered, drawing the battleship into a trap. Energy nets, gravity wells, and coordinated attacks immobilized the massive vessel, while Ilithian units disabled its weapon systems. The Dominion command officers could only watch in disbelief. "No species has ever fought like this," one said. They adapt faster than we can predict." Inside the hub's command center, Dominion leaders scrambled. Communications were jammed, systems disrupted, and morale plummeted. Humans moved relentlessly, exploiting every weakness, improvising when plans failed, and maintaining unwavering focus. Every successful strike inspired the Ilithians, who began to operate independently, applying lessons learned from human tactics with remarkable skill. Captain Lyra led a human Ilithian strike team into the heart of the command hub. They bypassed security doors, disabled automated defenses, and reached the central control room. Humans worked quickly and efficiently, using logic, skill, and courage to neutralize the hub's command systems. Ilithians, following human guidance, assisted in securing vital data and ensuring that no Dominion forces could regain control. Outside, the Dominion fleet began to falter. Their lines broke, confusion spread, and their morale collapsed. Humans had done what no one else could. They had turned the tide with skill, courage, and ingenuity. Ilithians now understood fully what humans had taught them. Victory was a mindset, a combination of action, intelligence, and relentless determination. When the command hub finally fell, the Dominion fleet had no choice but to surrender or retreat. Thousands of ships disengaged and fled, leaving the Ilithian system secure. Humans and Ilithians alike had achieved the impossible. They had defeated the greatest power the Ilithians had ever known. Back on the Ilithian homeworld, citizens poured into the streets to celebrate. They cheered for their freedom, for their survival, and for the humans who had taught them to fight with courage and intelligence. Ilithian leaders approached Captain Lyra. "Captain Hanley," one said, eyes shining with gratitude, "your people, You have changed everything. We have learned what it means to fight with courage, to act decisively, to believe in victory. You have given us hope, strength, and freedom." Lyra smiled. "It was not just us. It was all of you. You learned, adapted, and fought with us. Humans only provide the example. You carried it forward. That is why you won." Elithians looked at one another, realizing that their victories were not magic or luck. They were the result of courage, intelligence, and the willingness to act decisively. Humans had shown them a way, but it was their own choices and bravery that had secured the triumph. In the following weeks, humans worked alongside Elithians to rebuild and secure the system. They shared knowledge, trained additional forces, and helped establish defenses against any future threats. Humans did not take dominion. They taught, guided, and inspired. The Elithians were no longer a species in fear. They were a people ready to face any challenge, emboldened by the lessons humans had shown them. Captain Lyra stood on the observation deck of the Endeavour, looking at the Elithian world below. Lights sparkled across cities, and the oceans glimmered under the pale sunlight. A sense of calm had returned, but it was a calm earned through courage, skill, and determination. Lieutenant Rin joined her. "Captain, the Elithians. They will never forget this. They've learned more than tactics. They've learned what it means to face fear, adapt, and win. Humans, you have inspired them." "That's the point," Lyra replied. "We do more than fight battles. We change the way others think. Courage is contagious and hope spreads quickly. Elithians now know that victory is possible, no matter the odds." Messages of gratitude flowed from Elithian leaders across the system. Humans had not only defeated the Dominion, they had transformed an entire civilization. The Elithians would now venture into the galaxy with confidence, courage, and the knowledge that they could survive and thrive even in the face of overwhelming threats. Humans did not stay long. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, opportunities, and civilizations in need of guidance. But the mark of their presence was permanent. Wherever humans fought alongside others, courage, hope, and victory followed. As the Endeavour prepared to leave the Elithian system, Captain Lyra addressed the crew. "This mission is complete. The Calith Dominion has been stopped here, but the universe is full of challenges. Humans will continue to face them, adapt, and win. And wherever we go, we leave allies stronger, braver, and ready to defend themselves. That is who we are. That is how we fight. That is how we win." The Elithians watched the human ships disappear into hyperspace. They felt gratitude, awe, and a profound sense of empowerment. Humans had shown them that the impossible could be made possible. They had faced the most powerful empire they had ever known, and survived, thrived, and won, because humans had led them and inspired them. And as the stars stretched endlessly across the sky, the universe began to take notice. Humans did not simply fight. They changed outcomes, civilizations, and destinies. The Calith Dominion would remember this day, the day humans and Elithians acted together, and the humans only knew one way to fight, with courage, ingenuity, and victory. In the hearts of the Elithians, a new era had begun. Humans had shown them not only how to survive, but how to win. And humanity had proven once again that no challenge was too great, no enemy too powerful, and no odds too impossible. When humans fought, they did not just aim to survive, they aimed to win. And win they always would.